So we gonna cook this breakfast. So y'all gonna see me. Baby, my son already has some pancakes, but this boy loves pancakes. So I am going to cook him some more. But I'm up here trying to wash some dishes at the same time so we can go and run some errands. So let me see. I don't know. I think that put it right there. And I need to put these on down. You know what? I think I better schedule me a live for later. Because, honey, I will get distracted trying to up here. Look at this. Hey, y'all. I'm your girl, MsBehaven. And the name of the channel is MsBehavenisfun, where real people, real problems, and real drama. Contrary to popular belief, celebrities are real people too. Grand Rising, good morning, and Buenos dias. Today is May 13, 2026, and it is a beautiful Wednesday here in the sunny state of California. I originally was gonna go live with the camera on. I started off this video with the camera on. But I had to remember, I ain't got no shorts on. And honey, y'all see all this booty up hanging out these panties, honey. You see all this booty because I have to move around as I could make something for my son to eat. He already had pancakes, but this boy loves pancakes. So I'm making him some more pancakes, but we have some errands to run today. I need to stop up at his high school because I need a copy of his IEP. I have his IEP from his middle school. However, I do not have his IEP from his high school. There have been several incidents that have occurred with my son while he's been attending that high school. And I verbally made them aware on numerous occasions, and nothing was ever done. And so the last incident that happened to my son occurred February 26th. So that was the last day that my son was at school, and I made them aware of why he wasn't at school. One of the most egregious incidents that occurred with my son is my son was at school in the nude without any clothes on, outside his classroom exposed. It would be concerning to me if he was inside his classroom with all of his clothes off. But to know my son was out in the public exposed to multiple children and adults in the nude, in distress, where security had to be called. Nobody made me aware until after the effect. My son is supposed to have a one-to-one, and if he had a one-to-one, why was he naked, and what occurred to put my son in a state of distress? So that was the most egregious, but there's been multiple things that have happened to my son. So anyway, I made them aware and let them know. It was only until I made a comment, and I wasn't yelling, I wasn't cursing, I was just recounting the different incidents that had occurred with my son, and a conversation that he and his teacher and I had, and where his teacher approached me aggressively and told me nobody is hurting my son, when all I had was a question. how did my son's jacket get ripped? His jacket was ripped, and it wasn't a heavy jacket. It was a light rain jacket, almost. For those of you that remember windbreakers back when we were younger, so it was thin, but it was ripped from up underneath his arm to his waist side. I did a video about that. It's on my channel. You can look it up. I leave my videos open to the public. But anyway, I just wanted to know how it had gotten ripped. I had an idea how it got ripped because there was an incident a couple of days prior at his school where he didn't want to go in there. But anyway, his teacher approached me saying they're not there hurting my son. Now, I didn't accuse anybody of hurting my son. I just had a question. But if a person is defensive and that's the first thing out of their mouth, sometimes people inadvertently tell on themselves. And I know that people deal with foundational Black Americans, indigenous Black Americans, Black children in general differently, especially our children. And oftentimes, you know, they like to label them as violent, aggressive, unintelligent. But anyway, I told his teacher at that time, I didn't think that she had hurt my son. I'm not saying I didn't think they had hurt my son, because had they hurt my son, this would be a different conversation. Well, anyway, I had recounted that that scenario with an administrator earlier this year. And so when I made the restated that situation, I had told the administrator, and you know, I wasn't yelling or anything. I was just sitting there, leg crossed as I usually sit. And I said, if anybody hurts my son, I'll kill everybody. I mean, that's what I said. So the thing is, nobody was concerned about my son being violated, my son being mistreated, my son being neglected while in the care of the school. But as soon as I made that comment that I would, everybody got an alarm, wanted to get concerned about their safety. So my thing is this: when I had the conversation with the principal, does anyone plan on hurting my son? Because if they're planning on, they don't have anything to worry about if they're not hurting my son. But anyway, that seemed to be the only time that they were concerned. So fast forward, I request an IEP meeting so my son can return back to school, because I wanted all of those incidents to be addressed, and I wanted to be made assured that my son's IEP would be followed and he would be provided a one-to-one. So we have the meeting April 5th because it was so long, because we originally was supposed to have had the meeting on March 27th, but we were out of town and got into a car accident March 23rd in Columbia, South Carolina. When I got back, I wanted to see if we could have the meeting April 30th on that April 30th or the 1st. But I was told that everyone, all of the members of the team for his for the IEP meeting, all the interdisciplinary team members would not be available. So they went on spring break April 2nd. So the meeting was pushed back to April 15th. So that way it would allot all of the team members to be present for the meeting. So anyway, April 15th comes, all of the team members are present. So I bring up my concerns regarding my son, Nobody addresses it. They don't address it. Nobody says anything. Um, I also want to know about his one-to-one, who I was told that that was confidential information. And my thing is this: how is that confidential information when the person is working with my son and you have teached it uh, on the website? So how is a one-to-one confidential information? Well, anyway, in that same meeting, I also I apologize for my comment, how my comment, I could see how it made some staff members afraid. And that was the comment of, if my son is hurt or harmed, I would kill everyone. Now, I wouldn't kill no kids because the baby's innocent. Now, I will kill those adults because people know who mistreat kids or mistreat people that they work with, but they stay silent so they can keep a job. So that's what I meant. But I did apologize. I could see in this climate, but at the same time, if I if I keep telling you people mistreat my son and doing stuff wrong to him, and he's not being afforded the care he's supposed to, his autonomy is not being respected, he's being subjected to emotional, psychological neglect. And throw in physical neglect at the school, because why is my son coming home with feces and urine all on his body, all on his clothes, on the clothes in his backpack, when in his IEP he's supposed to have a one-to-one to assist him with his hygiene? So I've been called to purchase tennis shoes for my son because because my son loves water. They said he walked into a puddle of water, so his shoes and socks are soaked. He need new shoes. They knew how to call me for that. I went straight to the store because I wasn't in town nearby. I went to the nearest shoe store, purchased him tennis shoes and socks, and headed right back to the school and gave them to him. So not at any time should my son ever be sent home in dirty clothes. Not at any time should my son have any feces or urine all up over him. So anyway, we're going to get back to the meeting. So I apologized for that comment. Not once did the school district, the school staff acknowledge the role that they played in the breakdown of our partnership. I don't know, and I'm sorry, you guys, I don't know why the internet is going out. But I don't know why there is this thing. I feel and I believe, based off people's actions, their behaviors, their communication, they are purposely gaslighting us to get us in a state of just conflict, chaos, and turmoil. I'm not giving anybody that, but I'm not ignorant, and I'm not going to allow anyone to play with my intelligence, nor play with my son's security, safety, and well-being. I'm not going to do that. So anyway, we have the meeting in which I did all the talking, did all the apologizing, acknowledging the role that I played. Yes, how can I help you? Okay, thank you. Bye-bye. But nobody wants to acknowledge the role that they played. So fast forward, we don't even have to fast forward. At the meeting, I was handed a page, an addendum page, to sign for the IEP. My daughter was present, and my daughter is a speech therapist, so I wasn't concerned. So I went ahead and I signed the paper. And because I even made a statement like, we can't change what happened in the past. All we can do is move forward. So the goal was for my son to return back to high school. So anyway, after the meeting, it was bothering me because the whole time during the meeting, even before I started talking, I was concerned because everyone was supposed to be present in the meeting, The psychologist wasn't present in the meeting. The psychologist was on a Zoom. I don't know. The screen wasn't turned to me. I don't know if she was on the Zoom or not. If it was a recording, she never spoke. So I don't know who was on that laptop that Allison was holding. The PE teacher wasn't there, the adaptive PE, because one of the things they wanted to change with my son, he only does PE twice a week, and now they wanted to do it 5 times a week, which I'm not opposed to. But I would like to know what's all in this program, is if there is a one-to-one with him, like who's helping him change out of his regular clothes into his PE clothes. So this lady was not there, and I shouldn't say lady because I don't know her pronoun, but she appears to me to be a woman. So she wasn't there. So I didn't want to hold the meeting because I had come to his high school the day before the meeting and spoke with Allison to make sure that everyone would be attending the meeting. And she said yes. So when I get in there and see that people are missing, immediately I want to reschedule the meeting. But because my daughter had driven down from Northern California, I went ahead and attended the meeting. So nothing changed from everything else I said earlier. I mentioned the incidents that occurred to my son, the fact that I wasn't notified, and I acknowledged me making the comment about if my son is hurt, I will kill everyone, is alarming to them. It made people uncomfortable. I acknowledge that. But again, not once did anybody from the school district or the high school acknowledge the role that they played in the breakdown of this partnership and in how my son was emotionally, physically, and psychologically affected in a negative way while he was in their care, and for their failure to adhere to his IEP. So I leave the meeting. Isn't this ironic, you guys? You guys that follow me are aware that my son and I are homeless. We don't have permanent housing. We've been staying in a hotel. We were first at Marriott Hotel, and now we're in an Airbnb. So we do not have permanent housing. We were at a homeless shelter here in Escondido, California, that kept us there for a year. They did not put us in the continuum of care, which matches families with resources, with different organizations. So you're signed up into this homeless management information system. So that way you're not just going bopping around all through the community to different agencies trying to get help. It's supposed to be streamlined. 211 San Diego is the main number that you can call. And then once you get connected with a homeless shelter, you sign all these forms. I'm just speaking about my experience, what I've seen at the shelter that I am at. And I'm pretty certain it happens at other shelters, whether it's a family shelter, a shelter for homeless veterans, a shelter for single men and women, people with substance addiction. I'm quite certain it's the same way. But anyway, when you sign this form, you're also signing a form where you agree for your information to be put in the homeless information system. So what that means is that all of these agencies, all they need is your name, your birthday. Sometimes I don't even need your birthday, but they'll verify with you and your social security number, and bam, you're pulled up. Whether all of these different places, they pull up your information. So it's supposed to be a good thing. So that way, if you need help with social services, like maybe you don't have any income, they want you to sign up with the Department of Social Services to get food stamps or welfare check or social security check if you have a disability, or what else? Medical needs, like Molina is one of the healthcare insurance agencies that has an agreement with California Medi-Cal department. So they're one of the housing agency, healthcare agencies. You also have uh, the housing authority. You have San Diego Housing Commission for people in the city of San Diego. Then for people up here in North County, San Diego, like Vista, Escondido, San Marcos, they have their own housing authority, and it's right there off of Ruffin Road in San Diego. But anyway, I'm saying, let me get back. I'm saying all of this is because everyone was aware that my son and I were homeless, even his high school. Never once did they connect us with homeless resources that they have at the high school. They didn't connect us with it until this year. Until this year. But anyway, we're going to get back on task to the IEP. Why I think everything, why it's weird how everything happens. We had that meeting on April 15th. April 17th, I happened to go to the courthouse in Vista looking up something on a separate matter. I find out that I have to appear in court on that Monday, April the 20th. So this goes back to me telling you guys how me and my son were staying at Marriott Hotel in San Marcos earlier this year, and I had been paying, they were being paid automatically through my credit card, that somehow they called the sheriff on me to have me arrested for trespassing. Now the sheriff did not arrest me, but he cited me with a ticket, and that was back in that was back in, what was that, in January? That was back in January. Hold on, you guys. Let me just double check, because I was at the shelter they kicked us out on December the 10th. So we stayed at Marriott from December 10th to December 15th, and I extended it, and it was supposed to go from December 15th to January 14th. So yes, that was January. So January 8th. So anyway, from January 8th, my son and I have been staying in Airbnbs here in North County, San Diego. So anyway, when I go to the courthouse on April 17th, which was 2 days after my IEP meeting, that's when I noticed I have a court date on the 20th, because I had already gone to the courthouse, even to the district attorney's office, to find out if, when was my court date, and they said there was nothing filed against me. So, but lo and behold, 2 days after my IEP meeting, it was filed by the district attorney. And I told the lady in the courthouse, I said, I didn't receive a letter. Nobody told me about this. And she said, well, it's here in the system that you were mailed a letter. Y'all, I've even reached out to the homeless shelter. No letter was mailed there to them either. But in any case, even if a letter was mailed, if it was mailed on Wednesday, April 15th, there's no way in the world that letter would have gotten to me in time to let me know I had to be in court on Monday, April 20th. But because God worked it on out for me to go ahead and appear at the courthouse on that Friday, I knew I had a court date that Monday. Had I not appeared in court, there would have been a warrant out for my arrest. By me living out here by myself with my son, a police pulled me over for anything, I would have been arrested. And guess what? They would have taken my son and put him in child protective services care. And I want y'all to put a pin in that right there about child protective service. Put a pin in that, because we're going to come back to that. So I'm like, God dog, this is the second time something weird like this didn't happen after I've gone to his high school, or I've had a concern, or I've had a grievance of some sort. So I said, no, before my son returned back to school, because my son was supposed to return to school that Monday, but I had court. Hey, good afternoon, country girl. Hey, boo. So, had I not went to court, I would have had a warrant. So I went to court and I had my son. Um, Make a long story short, now they claim that it was dismissed. The charge was dismissed because the public defender, I don't know who this man was. I ain't have nobody represent me. All of a sudden, I'm sitting in the lobby talking to people. This man comes out. He calls my name. I tell him here. He wants to pull me to a back room in private. I don't know why people want to talk to me in private all the time, every time when I make bring awareness to something illegal going on with my name. If you look on my page, go to my post, you'll see where I posted the court records from Riverside County, where there was a warrant out for my arrest from 2008, where a lady was shoplifting. I'm a registered nurse. I ain't never shoplifted a day in my life. And in the description on the warrant, it says the woman is white. So that could be a white woman. It could be a Hispanic woman, a Latina woman, an Asian woman. I don't know. But it was a white woman, 5'6". Honey, I am nowhere near no 5'6", and I never lived in Desert Hot Spring. But there was a warrant out for my arrest. But God worked that out too, and we got that on dismissed. But I didn't seal it because somebody then stole my identity. But anyway, let's get back to North County. So anyway, this attorney wants to take us to a back room, but my son, out of the blue, he had to go to the restroom multiple times. So I finally meet with the public defender. He tells me that what's being offered is I forgot, how did he put it? Like the charges will be dismissed after 6 months or something. I told him, look, I want to go to court. I want to argue my case. I'm pointing out the paperwork in front of him. I said, for one, the public defender, she's charged me with the wrong charge. That's not even the citation that's written on my ticket that the sheriff gave me. The citation, the penal code that's on my citation that San Diego sheriff gave me, this is for trespassing in a hotel. What the district attorney has charged me for, the penal code that they have listed, is as if I was at somebody's personal private home and I refused to leave. I said, so somebody is conflating these penal codes. And I said, so that's wrong in itself. I said, secondly, in this paperwork right here, it's asking for me to provide DNA. I said, provide DNA for what? I said, now, I'm not well versed in the criminal justice system. I said, but I am well versed when it comes to healthcare. I'm a registered nurse. And anytime I hear the word DNA, I said DNA involves tissue, it involves blood, it involves fingerprints. I said, so what do they need my DNA for? For trespassing. I said, because I got proof I was a paying customer. I have proof. And I said in Fairfield Marriott also have proof, because it's right there in their paperwork, because they provided it to the sheriff, where it shows my original registration for the hotel room was from December 10th to December 15th. Then it was extended. I had a new reservation from December 15th to January 14th. Somebody went in there, and it shows somebody went in there and switched my reservation to shorten it to January 8th. I said they have it in their records. So I am innocent. I want my day in court. He tells me, okay, he's going to go talk. He's going to go talk to the judge and the public defense, the district attorney. So they go, hey, Stacey Brown. Sassy said, good afternoon. God is good all the time. Yes, he is, Sassy, and all the time he's good. And all the time he's good. Let me tell you, baby, I definitely believe Even before now, with all this stuff I'm up against, it's like so much coming at me. It's trying to make me confused, break down, give up, baby. I know there's nothing I can't accomplish because I am a child of God. So they got to get right, baby. They better get right, because anybody out there trying to hurt a child of God, baby, ain't nothing good coming again, gonna come to you, baby. It ain't a curse, it ain't a hex, it ain't a spell, baby. It's just the truth, baby. I am a believer, not a pretender, not a deceiver, honey. I know. But anyway, let's get on back to this man. So anyway, he goes to talk. Now, I'm not privy to the conversation. My son and I are out in the hallway with a bunch of other people. So then they call me in. So when I come in, the judge is sitting there. What's his name? Judge. He had a beautiful smile. I think Judge Kirk is. I'm gonna do a video about that anyway. So anyway, he tells me he heard that I've been through something bad. Now, if I'm not privy to the conversation, I don't know what this public defender has told the judge, because mind y'all, I didn't even know I had a court date. All this thing is out the blue. I just happened to put a monkey wrench in whatever plan was going on, because remember what I told y'all, and I got proof to support what I'm telling y'all. On that paperwork, it wanted DNA from me. So, and I'll go back to that conversation the public defender was having with me about DNA, because he tried to feign ignorance, like he didn't know what was going on. And when I'm looking, and you got a packet, I guess when there are cases for the day and there are multiple public defenders, they put whatever your charge is and everything in a little plastic packet. So the public defenders, they can come pick them up. They read them, glance over them to see if that's who they want to represent. But anyway, so the judge, based on the judge's tone, the way he was talking, now he wasn't yelling, he wasn't talking crazy, but he was talking slick. And the way he was talking, it gave me the feeling that he was under the impression that I was some sort of hooligan. I was some sort of unsavory character. That's the appearance it gave to me. And I said, respectfully, Your Honor. And then here go the public defender. No, don't say anything. Be quiet. I'm looking at him, and I was going to say something, and he was like, no. And then the judge, listen to your attorney, because you may say something that'll change my mind. The judge don't even know. Baby, I wanted to go to court because I wanted to prove that there are thieves over there at Fairfield Marriott. They are liars. They are liars, and the truth ain't in them. And I wanted to show there's something corrupt going on with the judicial system here in San Diego County and North County, because how do y'all wait to file charges against me on April 15th and do not notify me with hopes I don't show up so that there's a warrant out for my arrest? But anyway, I remained quiet. So the judge said that he was dismissing the charges. He was dismissing the charges, and he said after 6 months, then the district attorney will I guess throw the charge out. So my son had to go to the restroom again. We go ahead and leave. I go ahead and leave. But when I tell y'all, my spirit did not feel right. I felt uneasy. I didn't like that I did not talk to the judge. I hated, and the only other time I had that feeling another time, and I regretted it. Child, we get to the car, we drive off, And as I'm driving down the interstate, that feeling is overcoming me. Like, you need to go back to the courthouse before the judge and request to have a trial, because that's the only way that my case will be brought to light. Because if it happened to me, I'm quite certain it happened to other people as well. Y'all, I get back to that courthouse. Why is the public defender is gone? They trying to give me a runaround. First, they told me they were at lunch. I had to wait. Child, I didn't wait. I didn't care if I had to wait. Honey, I went up to the clerk. I want to be put back on the docket. I want my case heard because I was coerced, forced to take that agreement. Because keep in mind, ain't nobody even asked me to raise my hand to swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Baby, I've been in court enough to know that you are supposed to do that before you give any type of testimony. But honey, check this out. So make a long story short, the public defender that was helped me just moments ago, and keep in mind, it was less than an hour. I wasn't even gone 45 minutes. I just drove far enough to get to, I couldn't even make it back to the house. I pulled over at Walmart, got my son cleaned up, and we headed right on back to the courthouse. And then they had a female public defender come out. Her name was Sakina, whatever. I don't like her attitude. I don't like how people try to mislabel us. That they mislabel Black women, because that's how these women and folks are. It's not us, y'all. It's not us. It really isn't. And I need my young sisters and brothers, older sisters and brothers, I need y'all to wake up, baby. They are playing with our mind and our emotions, and they want us to get negative. I'm talking to this lady. She's acting like as if she doesn't understand what I'm saying. Child, you the district, you a public defender, and you supposed to be an attorney representing people. And then she had the audacity to sit there and tell me that I got 15 other people to help. If you wanna vent, girl. When she said that, I said, God bless you. Go help your other 15 people. That's all right. Child, she said, well, I got the paper. I read it. I read where it said the charges was dismissed. I said, yeah, the judge said the charge is dismissed, but the judge also said it's in 6 months. Then the district attorney will get rid of the charges. I shouldn't have to wait 6 months. If this charge isn't going to be dismissed outright, then I want to have my day in court. I have my evidence. She goes in, she comes back out. She said, well, I read it. I mean, I did earlier. I heard something about 6 months, but I read it. It said the charges are dismissed. What you say? Who is that? Somebody in here. Who is that? Hey, 2 queens and 1 king. How you doing? Yes, all is well. All is well. So anyway, anyway, she tells me the charge is dismissed. Now I'm already knowing, wait a couple of days, you can go online, you can pull it up, and you can see for yourself. So I think I ended up waiting. Court was on Monday, and I'll have to check and see. I think it was a Friday. It may have been a Friday. I went online. I went onto the website to pull up the information. It has my full name. It has the date of court, and it has the case number. But when you click on the hyperlink, nothing, no information shows up. So it appears as if my case is sealed. And I'm like, oh, shiggity diggity now. Oh, shiggity diggity. It ain't nothing popped up. Oh, no, they doing something tricky, baby. They doing something tricky. So what I didn't do, I gone up over there. Matter of fact, I don't know if I did it from the courthouse. Yeah. Anyway, I drove back there to the courthouse and I requested a copy. And so when the lady on the other side, the clerk, because they all call themselves clerks. It's not like in the South where you have a clerk of court. So they don't have that out here. But anyway, Girl, she goes, she pulls it up. She's like, oh yeah, I see it right here. It was dismissed. I said, I would like to get a copy of that and I would like to get it certified. She said, it'll be $40. I said, that's fine. I would like to have a copy of that and I would like to get it certified. She said, it's $40, ma'am. I said, I hear what you're saying. I would like to have a copy of that and I would like to have it certified. I'll pay the $40. So anyway, she prints it out. She gives it to me. So I tell her, I said, now on the paper right there with that little red stamp, you're supposed to put your initial and up underneath, it's supposed to have your full signature with your name. She said, I said, how long have you been working here? She said, she had been working there a year. I said, yeah, somebody not training you right. I said, but don't worry, because they did that to another young woman that works here as well. I said, the way you're supposed to do it is you put your initial, you put the stamp on it. It has to be red to make it official. You put your initial and then you spell out your names and it has the date. So she went ahead and did that. So on the paperwork, it does say I'm dismissed. But riddle me this, and I ain't the Batman. Why is it sealed online? If it shows dismissed, it shouldn't be sealed online. I mean, there's other court cases I've had in the past where I've went online and you can get all the information. Even if you got to pay for each page, you can show the whole transaction of what transpired. So why is anything different now? That's what I'm saying. Folks, it's tricky. So I don't know. Child, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like, I don't know if I'm on somebody's reality show and ain't nobody told me. Or honey, I'm in an alternate universe. I don't know. But all I do know is I'm alert and oriented to person, place, time, and situation. And most of the time, majority of the time, when I notice something that isn't correct, I don't respond. I just want to see how far a person will go and what they'll do. But because those things had happened, that's what made me nervous about, okay, I'm supposed to take my son into school tomorrow, which is Tuesday, and these people have not provided me the name with his one-on-one, nor was everybody in attendance. And before he can go back, I need to know who's going to be my son one-to-one, and I need a copy of his IEP. I have a copy of my son's IEP from middle school, from the 8th grade. But for some reason, his high school will not adhere to it. And his teacher has told me, their school district creates IEP different from his school district, which I can't understand why there's a difference, because they're both school districts are in the same city. And my thing is, my son's not the only freshman in the school. There are kids in his classroom that were in the 8th grade with him. So what's so different about my son? That's what I'm trying to understand. But anyway, I told y'all to put a pin in it. About hold on. Let me flip over these pancakes. Y'all, my son loves pancakes. This boy can eat pancakes all day. So I'm flipping these over. So I had told y'all to put a pin in it because I'm going to bring y'all back to how Child Protective Service, a complaint was filed against me this year. And people are fraudulently misusing government agencies for their benefit to instill fear, terror into individuals. And it may have worked for other parents, but it's not going to work on me, because my son has never been neglected. Now, he was in the past when we were in South Carolina, and I say he wasn't, I wouldn't say he was physically neglected or emotionally. His father and I love him, but I know due to my state of depression, I wasn't the best mother for him. So that's, and his father wasn't as well. So that's why, I pray for that man to this day, because I know when his mother was living, his mother prayed for him, his mother loved him. That was her baby. And his mother is no longer here. So he ain't got nobody praying for him. All he got is a bunch of leeches around him, leeching off him and misusing him. But honey, that ain't my problem. But I'm praying for him, because that's my son's father. And hey, that's all you can do, baby. You can't hold no grudges. But anyway, we're going to get back to this child protective service deal. So what happened was, my daughter came down in February. It's always something when my daughter comes. See, ordinarily when people are homeless, they don't have anyone that's concerned for them. Or they may feel like out of sight, out of mind. This is a person from another state, or this is a person from another region. And so they take advantage of you. You don't know any better. But anyway, my daughter came down in February. And we had... It wasn't a scheduled meeting. It was impromptu, but because she was in town, she came and we met with the school. So, I had voiced, my daughter had concerns and had questions like, how my son and I have been homeless, like who is the person at the school responsible, basically like a liaison to help families that are homeless, because they have this program out here called Compact, where it's supposed to help homeless youth. And hold on, let me read this, you guys. Let me see. CPS can tell when people report frivolous claims, especially when they are seasoned caseworkers. Yes. 2 queens and 1 king. Because check this out, baby. I've had so many jobs, and I'm not even being funny. I think a year ago or something, when I started paying attention and looking at stuff, when I was at the shelter, and I said, I don't know, was it meant for me? And I'm not being cynical. Was it meant for me to be homeless so I can see what's going on? Because this social worker, when she called me, well, before I get to that part, let me go back to how my daughter and I got it for you, baby. You want the peanut butter on it? Let's put some peanut butter on it, because that peanut butter is protein. And then I'll fry that. We'll do peanut butter. You want peanut butter on it? Okay. Yeah, he wants peanut butter on his thing. So, we met on February 17th. Now, when I tell you the dates and share this part with you guys, now it'll make sense to some of you, that you'll understand my hesitance in not taking my son back until after they provide me the name and make sure that my son has a 1-to-1 and give me a copy of his IEP. So we met with the lady on February 17th. And so my daughter wanted to know about the resources, who's responsible for that, because she knows this lady, that's not her job. Everybody has their role that they play, because this lady is more so, she's over for special education children. So anyway, all of a sudden now I'm connected with a social worker, because I was never connected with a social worker at the high school. So a social worker, but they had claimed they had been calling me. Nobody had called us. They have an office there at the high school, but somebody was supposed to be getting in touch with me. That's what they said. So then I dropped my son off at school the following day. My daughter goes, she leaves to go back home. She spends the night, she leaves to go back home. That Thursday, hold on, you guys, let me wipe my hand. I got peanut butter on my hands. Okay, I'm back. So anyway, so my I need to get him a fork and I gotta cut his pancakes. So the 17th come, I dropped my son off at school on the 18th. On the 19th of February, I dropped my son off at school. When I go to pick him up, it's raining outside. It's not raining real hard. It's just drizzling. It's just drizzling. But I'm standing in the rain to pick up my son, and I get close to the gate. Ordinarily, the teacher has the children outside, but I understood why she didn't have them outside this day because it was raining. So she normally releases the kids out of school at 3:10. And so I tell the security guard, and I'm not going to say his name, he's real nice. And I said, security, I said, can you go ask Miss So-and-so, can she release Brandon? And so he says, okay. So he leaves, and it takes a long time for him to come out. And when he comes out with the teacher and all the other students. And as usual, like they do with my son, he's the last one to come out the classroom. Now, keep in mind, my son is riding home. He doesn't ride the bus. So I'm still standing in the rain. So I asked the security guard, I say, security, can you open the gate? So he goes to unlock the gate. The teacher tells him, no, don't unlock the gate. Don't unlock the gate. Go see if the bus is ready. So I'm looking at her like something wrong with this lady. I'm standing in the rain to get my son. She knows I drop my son off and pick him up to school every day, and it's raining. I've seen her open the gate even before she released the kids for other parents, for the little Asian boy mama and the Latina mama. But you don't want to open the gate, let him open the gate so I can get my son, so I can drive him home. So I asked her, I said, so you can't open the gate for reasonable accommodation? So security stands there because he had already unlocked the gate, but he hadn't opened it. And he turns to look at her, and she lets him know, he can open the gate. So he looks at me, he gives me a look like he's sorry. And I tell him, I said, don't worry about it. You're just doing your job. So I get my son. Now keep in mind, this is on February 19th. Child, how come around about 4 something, I get a call from Child Protective Service talking about there's been a complaint lodged against me, placed against me for neglect. I said, neglect? I said, that's a fake and fraudulent report. So I said, so when was the report made? She said the report of neglect was filed January 21st. I said, what? January 21st? I started laughing. I said, yeah, that's a fraudulent report. I said, it was filed January 21st. And she said, yes. I said, and you just now calling me on February 19th about neglect? She said, well, I went to visit the address, and I went to the shelter. She said, I went to the address. I said, what address did you go to? When she told me the address, I said, that's the shelter. I said, they kicked me and my son out that shelter December 10th. I said, and you just now calling me? I said, and you just now calling me on February 9th? She said, well, I went over there January 30th. I said, but my son has been going to school. She could have went to the school. She talking about, well, they didn't have an address for me. I said, everybody knows that my son goes to the high school. And I tell her the name of the high school. So she says, She said, well, can you give me your address? I said, well, if you work for Child Protective Service, it's easy for you to find my address. I said, because in-home support services has my address. They know where we live. She proceeds to tell me that they use a different system. I said, now listen, I used to work for the welfare department and I worked for the county. And I know for a fact, I said, y'all may have a different system, but it's easy for y'all to find out where somebody live. I said, the Child Protective Service office is housed in the same location and in the same office as in-home support services. I said, that's number one. Secondly, I said, all you need is to put somebody's name in the system. You could have put our name in the system. You got our birthday. You put that in the system. You got access to our social security number. I said, you work for San Diego County. It's easy to find our address. So I wasn't falling for that. Then I told her, I said, they are mandated reporters. If there's any neglect, I said, this is a nonverbal child diagnosed with Down syndrome and autism. And I said, and you didn't think that it was imperative to try to find or get in contact with me? She said that when people make the report, they do not, she didn't know that she's dealing with a child that's nonverbal with autism and Down syndrome. They just filed a report. So she said she wanted to set up an appointment. When would be the best time to meet me? I said, when would be the best time to meet me? I said, as far as, if memory served me correctly, when Child Protective Service is involved, the parents don't have the benefit of letting Child Protective Service know when they can come and visit them to see if a child is okay. And she said, I said, well, you can come visit us now. You can come visit us right now. She said that she couldn't visit us right now, and she couldn't visit us tomorrow, which would have been Friday, the 20th of, hold on, y'all, the 20th of February. She said, but she can meet us next week. So I said, I'll give you my address. And then some said, have us send an email first so you can verify who this is, because you know how people are when they know people that work in different jobs that have positions of authority, how they can make, so have us send an email. So that's what I did. I told her, send me an email and I'll send my address. So she did. She sent me an email, and it did have on there, it had child and family well-being or something on the email. So that meant it was legit. So I told her, I said, you know what, better yet, I said, what is your address to your office? Because it didn't on the email, it didn't, I need to know who I'm dealing with, and I need to see you. So she gives me the address, and I tell her I'll meet her in her office, and we met with her that Monday, which was the 23rd, and I brought my son with me. We met her in the morning, and I sent her an email back. So anyway, we met with her. So once I met with her in person and I saw her badge, I gave her the address to the Airbnb. Now keep in mind, she still could have found that out. You work for the county of San Diego. Yeah, child welfare department is in close correlation to the California Department of Social Services, the welfare department. So you really don't need me to tell you my address is easy to find out. I know that from experience. Nope, you already had more than enough. That's enough. Go wash your hands. Go wash your hands. Thank you. Love you. What'd you say? 2 queens and 1 king. Exactly. It sounds like she needs some more training. Yeah. So anyway, so she comes to our Airbnb to visit us on the 23rd. And mind you, let me back up. When I met with her that Monday, it wasn't no questions pertaining to my sons. It was questions pertaining to me. And so I'm like, Yeah, all this stuff is feeding into what I was thinking. But anyway, I love when stuff is confirmed. But anyway, she comes to our Airbnb to visit. I tell her to take off her shoes. She come on in. She take them off. She walk through. She look into the refrigerator. She goes, looks in the bathroom, in the closet. And then she asks about his touch chat, which is his communication device. So I bring out his iPad and I show it to her, his touch chat device. So she goes ahead and leave. So, but anyway, all of the questions she had dealt with me because I had been taking medicine. This doctor had prescribed me blood pressure medicine. Now I'm going to him, and he's a quack. He needs more training. He's not my primary doctor, but he's one of the partners in the group. But honey, he needs more training, or he done stole somebody's identity. He done came over here, then assumed somebody's name and identity and using their doctor's license to practice. Because baby, if I'm coming to you talking about his blood covered out my stool, and I got a photo of it, and I'm explaining to you, and but you asking me every other question, then what got to do with the blood or coming to assess my stomach? That man didn't palpate my stomach. He didn't take no stethoscope to listen to my bowel sounds. That man didn't even want to see the picture of the blood because I took photos, because most astute and experienced physicians, when they're dealing with patients and they don't see the evidence what a patient is talking about, they rather see evidence. And a photo is evidence, because I'm explaining to him it's bright red blood. There's blood clots in it. It's not old blood. It's not blood like I got a high I got bleeding in the upper GI system, and now it's finally worked its way through and it's black. And no, it's not coffee ground. It is blood. Let me show you. The man ain't want to see none of that. Look, two kings and a queen, girl. Look, two queens and one king. Look, that quack baby, that quack, he did a quack-a-dacky. And honey, I was done with him. All you want to do is give me, prescribe me a high blood pressure pill. And I knew that's what he was going to do. They talking about my blood pressure high. Yeah, my blood pressure high. I'm stressed out. We homeless. I just got a citizen arrest charge for trespassing when I got receipts that they charge on my credit card each week and it's paid for, and people playing with my intelligence. So I said, yeah, my blood pressure is high, but I knew they just want you on the blood pressure pill. So I agreed to the blood pressure pill. I told him I do not put me on an ACE inhibitor because ACE inhibitors are contraindicated for African American, for black people. So he put me on hydrochlorothiazide. I said, what dose? Because I'm making sure he's starting off at a low dose. He tells me 12.5 milligrams. I say, okay. He tells me he needs me to go to the emergency room. I told him I cannot go to the emergency room tonight because I have my son. I don't have anybody that can watch my son, but I promise I will go to the emergency room tomorrow, because my son is not going to sit still. In the emergency room, they triage you. It's all about severity. They don't care if you got a child with special needs. You have to sit there and wait. My son, he gets overstimulated, and when he's ready to go, he's ready to go. He might start acting out, swinging and tearing stuff because he's ready to go. So I said I would do it the following day when he was in school. But anyway, I did go pick up the blood pressure pill. I started that night. So that was January 7th. Then I took it the next day, which was January 8th. So I took it for several days and I was taking my blood pressure. I went ahead and took it, but I would take it after I took my hour after I took my antidepressant medication. So because For those of you that don't know or weren't aware, when you take any kind of depression medication like antidepressant or psychotic medication, and I don't want y'all to look at the word psychotic as negatively, because some people, like Seroquel, Abilify, Seroquel, Abilify, or some of the medications that are considered antipsychotic that helps with like hallucinations and delusions. Some people with bipolar, like mood disorder, they'll give them some Seroquel. They'll give them Depakote. Anyway, I'm going off track. We're gonna stay focused. So anyway, I had took the medication for several days. Y'all, on that Monday, I don't know, was it January? I think it was on a Monday. So that might have been January the 12th. Y'all, that morning my body felt weird. When I say my body felt weird, I felt like a rush of energy. I could feel my heart beating fast. And I was like, something ain't right. Something's going on in my body. I was awake, but it was weird. I remember going to Sprouts farmers market and buying I remember, I don't know, I just had this urge where I was thirsty, so I popped open the liter. Like, I grabbed liter bottles of water, of that Carlsbad alkaline water. Child, I took that water, I took a whole liter. I stood there and I drunk it. Glug, 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 glug. I threw that empty bottle in the basket. Then I grabbed another bottle and I just was glupping it down. Something told me just drink water. I was glupping it down. And I threw that second. So I gulped down 2 liters of water in less than 5 minutes. Baby, it might have been, it could have been less than 3 minutes. I ain't gonna even lie. I go both of them down. But anyway, I remember getting to my son's school. I was listening to church music, singing. And honey, I was I was singing, then I got to talking about corruption. I was like, you know how peace is a choice, how it belongs to the people, and protection is owed to the elderly, disabled people, children, and the poor. And I got to talking about how 99% of the world broke, working like slave, overworked, understaffed, underpaid. I said, and 1% is ruling everything. And I can't remember everything else I was saying, but I remember the sun was shining bright. Honey, I was yelling that. Honey, I was up in the grass waiting for my son. All of this happened on January 12th. My son is getting out. So when they open the gate, something tell me, touch my son backpack to see if his iPad is in his backpack. Child, I touched that backpack and his iPad isn't there. So I look at this teacher and I ask her, where's his iPad? And she said, oh, let me get it. So she goes back to the room to get it. And the reason I did that, you guys, because back in December, when I got that call, when they told me that my son was in at school naked and in distress, when he came home that night, his iPad that he uses to communicate with wasn't in his backpack. So that's why when some said, see if his iPad was in his backpack and it wasn't, I need his iPad. Child, make a long story short, I ended up saying I need to go get my son checked out at a hospital. I didn't trust nobody here in northern in North County, San Diego. Hell, truth be told, I didn't trust nobody in Southern California. I said I need to get to Northern California because I don't know what they got going on here. Child, on my way up north, I took my son iPad because I know you can track folks through those iPads. Child, I took that iPad and threw it out the window. I threw it out the window. They ain't gonna be tracking me. But needless to say, as long as you in the homeless management information system, baby, they can track you anywhere. You rent a hotel, run your social security and your driver's license. That's the whole purpose. Why, if y'all look me at y'all driver's license, I don't know how it is in other states, but I know here in California we got the barcode on it. So I'm quite certain on other states, if you look at your ID or state driver's license, there's a barcode in the back in which law enforcement scans it. And if you pay attention and you think back to when you go to hotels, they ask you, can I see your ID? And they run it through the little thingy. So, hey, maybe I've been asleep for a very long time, but now I'm awakened. But anyway, let's get back to the CPS. So all of that happened in January. And so I know I had drove up to Northern California, and then when I came back to Southern California, I went to my sister's house, and I told her I needed somebody to come with me out to Northern California because I didn't trust them. I told her, I said, I don't know, my body felt strange after taking that pill, and I stopped taking that blood pressure pill, y'all. I stopped taking it. What you say? You in Texas? You are exactly right. They do scan that barcode. See, and how many of us don't be paying attention to that? When we don't pay attention to our stuff, even to create everything with the barcode, and it's a reason they want them chips on your debit credit cards. But anyway, I told my sister I felt strange. I said, sister, I felt strange. I've never felt like that. If I've never done drugs, the closest I've ever came to a drug is an energy drink. And I remember the first time I ever did an energy drink, it had me hyped up on energy. Like I was at the jail, I was cleaning, wiping shelves. I was rearranging in the jail. And that's how I felt. And I said, hell, I feel like a crackhead. I mean, I don't know what a crackhead feel like, but they say crackheads got superhuman strength. And you get the right one, honey, they'll clean a whole factory by themselves in under 2 hours. And I don't know, I'm just saying. But anyway, child, I told my sister, I said, I think I think that pill, I said, either it's the pill. I said, I told my sister, that pill, I don't know if that's a drug, if they've drugged me, they switched that pill and drugged me. I said, because when I looked at it, I know what hydrochlorothiazide looked like because I was on it before back in 2000. And I, as a nurse, know that medication, if it comes from different manufacturers, the pill can look different. So this pill that I had is small. It felt funny. It had coating that it seemed like the coating easily rubs off the pill. But the thing that got me, y'all, and I got the videos, I got the evidence to prove it. I even showed my sister. Hell, and then when I got to the doctor's office, I showed the nurse, and she was acting all nervous and jittery. And I said, well, what the hell going on here? These mofos experiment. I mean, I suspected that, but you know. But anyway, let's get back. So I told me and my sister went to a store. I had bought a drug test. And I told her, I said, I feel like these people are trying to set me up. Now I know who the people are. I'll call their name out, so it ain't like, no, it's an unknown they. Like on the YouTube streets when they say they said, and everybody be like, well, who is they? Who is they? And don't nobody give no name. The only reason I'm not giving they name just yet, because I'm still trying to give them time to do right by me and my son. And they change their wicked ways. They may not want to change them, but anyway. I took the drug test. My test was negative. So I said, okay, they didn't drug me. I said, well, then the only alternate I could think of is that pill is really an antipsychotic medication, because I don't know of any blood pressure pill that dissolves in water. And when I say dissolve in water, I'm talking about you can sit it there and it dissolves in less than 3 minutes in water. I said, now I know risperidol. I said, I know there's risperidone. I said, we have the Abilify that are antipsychotic medications and they dissolve in water. I said, I wonder if somebody was trying to be sneaky. I'm already on an antidepressant, but now they trying to implement and put an antipsychotic in there. At least that, was in my mindset. Now I could just be out on one, but what I do know is that I've taken hydrochlorothiazide before and I've never had that uh, reaction nor response with my body, and I stopped taking it. But anyway, that was back, all that was in January. So my sister, my nephew decides he'll come out here with me and my son, so that way we're not out here by ourselves. Because I told my sister, like, my sister, my family keep telling me they've called me, they text me, and then they can never get a hold of me. And I'm letting them know, well, with my phone, I'm not getting y'all calls, and I'm calling y'all and it's not going through. And I know over at that cell phone company, Boost, they did something shady. So, honey, I don't mess with no cell phones if it doesn't have a physical SIM card. And I recommend any and everybody forget these brand new, up to date cell phones that they have, which required you to use eSIM. If you're gonna use eSIM, you better put a lock on your SIM card so can't nobody do nothing with it. But I prefer a physical SIM card. So anyway, I told them I would feel better if somebody came out here with us. I said, because if anything happens, somebody can be there with Brandon. I said, because this man, I said, when he prescribed that blood pressure pill, he didn't take my blood. None of that. But he wanted me to come back a week later to give blood and give a urine specimen. So you guys, that's another reason why I was thinking, don't tell me these folks didn't drug me. I have drug in my system for a week. Then I go back to the doctor to get my blood and give them a urine specimen, and then whoops, now I'm negative for drugs. So then CPS get involved, and now they got my son. And because my family's not in here, nobody will know that I'm locked up or my son has taken in the care of the state. And then they'll say, well, she has a history of depression. Baby, I know people can add on additional diagnosis that they want. The state of California has a law that is not positive nor beneficial for people with mental health diagnosis. And they now have that law that they have instituted. They can have you locked up as long as they want to. Now keep in mind, now if you locked up, whatever facility or residential home, wherever you at, these folks in charge of you and your money. Let's see. Did it elevate your blood pressure too high? No, it didn't elevate my blood pressure. And you know what? To be honest with you, I never. Well, when I didn't check my blood pressure the day of when I was feeling like that and my heart was racing real fast. Like it was like I was having a outer body experience. Like I'm here, I'm alert, but like I'm just full of energy and I'm just moving fast. I'm moving fast, but prior to that day, when I would take the pill, it didn't elevate my blood pressure. My blood pressure, it did lower it. So it did. The pill did lower my blood pressure. But on that day when I was having that experience where I wasn't feeling like me. Child had hopped on the freeway, drove from Southern California all the way to Northern California. Baby, I drove nonstop. I drove in the far left lane, through those trackers, the express lane where you have to pay. So that way I wanted them to take photos of me, my vehicle, the license plate. So can't nobody say, well, we don't know what happened to her. Baby. Them tickets gonna come through the mail. Them tickets gonna come through the mail. And if you don't pay them tickets, they gonna be alerting DMV. So it's always a way to leave a paper trail. Baby, I don't know. I don't know, baby. I don't know. But look, I done cook. let me hurry up and wrap this segment up because I done finished. I done finished cooking for my son. Look, baby, what? I done finished cooking for my son, and we got to go. We got some errands to handle. But what was the one thing I was gonna say? So anyway, CPS got involved. So all of that happened in January. My son went to school that Monday because my nephew had came out here with us. So that way we weren't out here alone. He came and stayed a couple of days. So that was on February 16th that my son came back. Was that February? No, that wasn't February 16th. My bad. That was January 19th. So it would have been the 20th. Because everything happened on the 12th. I went to my mother's. So Martin Luther King was on the 19th. So that was January 20th that my son came back to school. And then when he came back to school, I had let the school know that he needed another iPad, that I had broken his iPad and thrown it out the window. So they said okay. And so I had let them know, and then I had also let the speech therapist know they were supposed to order him another iPad. And they never did. So what I went and did, I had already bought him. I had went and bought him an iPad, and then I had asked him, is there any way, for the touch chat program that he uses to communicate, is there any way that it can be downloaded onto his iPad? And then it was like a runaround with that. So I ended up going ahead buying the touch chat app to add to his iPad. So he's had his iPad. So all that happened in January. So now that I think of it, if the complaint happened January 21st, so that means the school filed the complaint for neglect. Now that I think of it. So that means the school found the complaint for neglect. And that is why, but when the lady was interviewing me, she was interviewing me about me. And I had showed her my medicine and stuff. I was honest. If you tell the truth, you ain't got to remember what to say. Just tell the truth and your story remains the same all the time. But my son's never been neglected. I don't send him to school dirty with torn clothes, tattered clothes, none of that. I don't send him home hungry. And then another thing with the CPS worker, when I had met with her, I reminded her that she didn't ask me for my sister's phone number. So how you gonna cooperate with anybody? Because at the time when I met with the lady, I had my daughter on the speakerphone. So my daughter, was a witness to the conversation because the lady wanted me to sign a paper talking about confidentiality and what the penal code, not the penal codes, but what the welfare and institution, California codes and all this. Baby, I am not signing nobody's paper. It ain't nothing confidential about my information. It's involving me because it's a setup. And I feel sorry for any parent that signed them papers because, like, right now in my case, where I got a letter where, they closed the case, talking about they investigated or they couldn't get in touch with me, so the case is closed. No, don't say you couldn't get in touch with me. You did investigate. You came, met with me, you talked to my daughter, you called my sister, and even my sister, when she questioned my sister, It wasn't no questions pertaining to my son, really. It was all about me, whether or not they're afraid of my son being in my care. And my sister let them know that I'm overprotective of my son and I take care of my son. Even my daughter, when she was on, talking with the lady, my daughter was like, she thought I was neglecting my son. She was like, if I thought my mom was mistreating my brother, she said, I'm a mandated reporter, I would turn her in. And my daughter started, sound emotional, like she was crying. So it made me, get a little emotional, start tearing up. So the CPS worker was like, and it was after my daughter got off the phone, and she was like, I see you crying. Why are you crying? I said, because I don't want my daughter worrying about me and my brother. I want her to live her life and have her life. She's not responsible for us. And so I told yep, praise God. Thank you, country girl. What you say, two queens, one king, you said, I'm familiar with different drugs. I worked at a mail order pharmacy for 15 years. Oh, okay. But see, I don't know if I didn't think about driving my blood pressure. Checking my blood pressure. But girl, I knew I was moving fast. My heart, I could feel the palpitation. Like my heart was beating so fast, I could almost feel my heart jumping out of my chest, and I was just wired. Like it felt like I was so full of energy, and I know that my speech was I don't want to say it was pressured, but it was rapid. It almost feel like, how I was trying to describe it to one more a person before. I said it's like seeing a patient in a manic state, and where they're all over the place. And so that's what it, I don't know. It was just weird, but I stopped taking the pill. But I know I've never had that feeling before. I know that several people have asked me questions, like, I won't say several, but maybe two people have asked me, like, has anyone ever said that you had bipolar? And I said no. I said nobody has ever said that I had bipolar. Now, what I've been told is, one, I've had postpartum depression was the first time. The second time I was diagnosed, it said seasonal affective disorder. And I said the third time is major depression. That's the only type of depression I've been diagnosed with. And I've been diagnosed with anxiety and PTSD. So that's it. Nobody's ever told me I was bipolar. And I'm not even claiming that. And I don't even know why people want to put that on me. And furthermore, when I tried to get a refill of my medication, they won't even refill my medication. So I said, well, hell, maybe it ain't nothing wrong with me. And it's just diet, and I need to get out in the sun more and exercise. I said, because if the doctor don't see a concern to refill my medication, then that must mean I don't need the medication. So make it make sense to me. Hell, all the years I didn't work with patients, and I always provided education to my patients. The importance of taking your medication, the importance of advocating for yourself, the importance of knowing your body, because you are the best advocate for yourself. If you're taking a medicine and the medicine making you feel funny, you have to speak up. Tell the nurse, tell the doctor, tell somebody, because sometimes the dose can be too high, or the dose can be too low, or that's just not the right medication for your body. So anxiety, that's what you think, country girl? I had an anxiety attack. Well, sounds like you know what? Ain't no telling. Maybe because I sure was out there, but I was singing and playing church music. Well, I'm trying to see. But anyway, y'all, what else with the CPS ladies? So anyway, I did get a letter. They had determined, but it's not thorough the way I would want it to be, because that saying, leaving it on a letter saying the case was closed, or they couldn't get in touch with me, that can lead to someone someone making a second complaint of neglect, and they can use that first one to say, well, we never got in touch with her. You need to be clear on these letters. It need to say, after investigating the complaint or whatever, we've determined that this complaint is unsubstantiated. That's what it needs to say. But anyway, I got the letter. So we gonna wait and see what's going on right now. So um I know I had requested that information for my son to return back to school. I hadn't heard from the lady until 6 days later, and then when she reached out to me, she gave me dates talking about having his annual IEP and where they can address the concerns I had. But my thing is, they should have addressed those concerns I had at the meeting on April the 15th. And then you giving me a date, April, March, what is it, May 22nd, May 29th, and whatever else, to have a meeting for his annual IEP and to address my concerns. Y'all really don't want my son at school to begin with, because school is about to be out. And by my son not being there, that means they don't have to hire nobody else his one-to-one. They don't have to follow his IEP. They don't have to treat him the way that he should be treated, how anybody should want their child to be treated, with dignity and respect. So yes, it will, country girl. All of it has. Everything has worked itself out. All of it. And I'm not even worried about my truck. My truck is missing, but I said, God will work it on out. It's just multiple things happening, and it's designed, one, to let me to have me worried, stressed out, where I'm irritated, yelling at my son, hitting on my son. Baby, I'm not about to do that to my son. Do you know, someone told me that I need to be disciplining my son. I need to whoop him to make him mine. Because my son, in fairness, I told him to put on his shoes so we can go. We were at someone's home, and my son put on his shoes, but me and the family member were talking, but my son went ahead and opened the gate and walked on out to go to the truck, which he thought was the truck that we are currently renting. And yes, it's in the alleyway. Yes, it was unsafe. I should have paid attention. I saw him go out, but I thought he was going to stay there and play on the swing. And I was coming out behind him. I didn't leave out quick enough. But when I got outside the door, he had already gotten through the gate, and no cars were coming through the alley. And then I told him, turn around and come back. And he came back. And she told me, you need to whoop him. You need to beat him and make him mine. And all this other stuff. And I looked at her. I'm not finna do that slavery behavior, beating on. I disciplined my girls in the past, but I didn't know any better back then. I'm not going to teach my child to be fearful of me. The only person he needs to be fearful of is God. I don't want nobody to be able to have that power or control over him to make him be afraid of anything. Because when you're afraid, you will listen and do anything a person tells you to out of fear. You'll even go against your better judgment. You'll even do things that you wouldn't ordinarily do. What did you say? Two queen and one king. I can't stand when other people tell you how to discipline your kids. Yes, yes. I respect how people raise their kids, but baby, I'm raising him. I don't think my son is special or better than anybody else, and he's learning. But for that right there, one, I told him put on his shoes, let's go. So he said she talked about let's go, so let's go. So anyway, oh my God. I'm gonna come back. I gotta give my opinion on Love and Marriage Huntsville. And to the Huntsville people, I was in y'all city. I didn't travel. I'm not like a crazy fan. I didn't travel all through y'all city. I would just happen, since I'm traveling coast to coast, I was traveling coast to coast. And I said, you know what? I'm traveling on this here highway. Let me go on and stop by Huntsville, Alabama. So, honey, I was in Huntsville. I don't know the name of those projects that are there in Huntsville, but I don't know the name of that main highway right there. But it was a project there, and I know you make a right, and some kind of way I ended up on Jordan Street. I think that's the name of it. Jordan Street, Jordan Avenue. Child, if you blink your eyes, you pass Madani. Child, I saw Madani. I said, now, is that the same Madani, Destiny Madani? But before I could even look back to see where it was in the little shopping center, honey, I had already passed and was up the street. Child, and Madani ain't that far from Nail little child care center. So I went up over there. Ooh, Martell is messy. Now I've been saying Martell is messy, and I had been thinking it. I don't know why the number two queens and one king. I don't know Miss Wanda number, but child, I thought about driving past Bessemer too. I said, but that's doing team too much. We got to make it back to California because we already been on the road too long. But when I tell y'all, honestly, I'm saying this from my heart, y'all. If you get out and travel, oh my God. It is so beautiful in America. It is so beautiful. I even took pictures when I was in Alabama. I can't remember that highway. It's a high. God darn, what is that little interstate? It went through a little small city, but I passed over the lake. It's a lake. God, I can't remember the name of that daggone city. But y'all, it's so beautiful, like beautiful trees, scenery, lake. I don't know why the cast ain't went on no trip on the lake or something, on like a little boat outing on the lake. Child, I've seen some beautiful places in Oklahoma. I think the place is called El Reno. Is it El Reno, Oklahoma? Tennessee, Ohio, y'all, I don't know. I think it's Interstate 40. I think it's Interstate 40 that's up in Tennessee, and it looked like you up in heaven, honey. When you walk driving on that mountain, coming down through all those trees, girl, I thought it was a fire at first. If I saw the smoke, and I looked to the left, and I could see like it looked like clouds of smoke coming off the tree. And when I turned forward and looked forward, I said, Lord, have mercy. Am I driving in the clouds? Am I driving in the clouds? I said, oh my God. I need to come back this way one day early in the morning and pray. Y'all, it is beautiful. El Dorado is what you talking about? El Dorado, Alabama? Let me see. I did that one year when my kids were younger because I'm originally from Mississippi and my dad's family is from Arkansas. Oh, you know what? Two queens and one king. You know what? Oh, it is so beautiful. They show us the bad part of the South. They always show people the bad part of the South. They don't show you the beautiful part. They don't show it at all. My son loves to go. My son loves to ride. And we both love, like, he loves putting his face towards the window so he can feel the air and the wind on his face. And we both love sticking our arms and hands out the window in the sun. So the fact, sometimes I do believe man's rejection is God protection. Because with all this dysfunction going on, my son and I had the ability to travel the United States of America. And we've seen homeless people. And I think it's time for me to stop saying that we're homeless because we are blessed and fortunate enough to where we're in an Airbnb. um, but it's so many people. It's so many people, all races. And I don't like the way I see some of the states, the cities. Um, and to all of y'all here in the United States of America, y'all were Look, that's a whole nother video. It's going to be called Immigrants Lives Matter. But baby, if you live in Texas, if you live in New Mexico, if you live in California, baby, this is already Mexico. Y'all just don't know that it's already Mexico. And wait, and don't let me forget Arizona. Baby, y'all the ones still think it's the United States of America. Baby, Mexico then came back and reclaimed their states. They didn't reclaim their land. I'm just telling y'all that now. El Dorado, Oklahoma. I love road tripping. Oh, okay. Okay. I want, but yes, honey, it was beautiful, very beautiful. But hey, y'all, thank y'all for hanging with me. I've been on this live too long. I wasn't trying to stay on this live long. Look, y'all, I did originally. I'm gonna show you. Originally, I was gonna come on the camera, but y'all, look. I ain't got no short phone propped up. And honey, I had turned around and I had walked over to the other side of the room. And when I came back, honey, I could see my booty. I said, Lord, I can't let these folks see me with this booty hanging on that. I mean, it's good, baby. It's good and firm and it's sit high. But I couldn't be turned around letting y'all see no booty. But look, I'm your girl, MsBehaven, and the name of the channel is MsBehavenisfun, where I talk about real people, real problems, and real drama. And contrary to popular belief, celebrities are real people too. I want y'all to be good to yourself, be patient, be kind, be a blessing to others, and have a beautifully blessed day. And if you're part of the replay gang, I want to say thank you. Subscribe, hit like or dislike, leave a comment. I'll get to you. It may not be soon, but eventually I'll get to you. And share the video. What else I want to tell you? Because I'm a little blogger. My presence felt like a big dog. Queen stands alone. I ain't scared of none of y'all trying to line me up. I see the real from the fake. Keep your head on the swivel when these YouTube streets. You hoes is lollygagging. You know that Haven got the clout. Chicago, California. Now I'm repping for the South. Ooh, Lord. I can't be cussing. But baby, I wear my natural hair. I am not putting on no wigs, no weaves. I'm wearing my natural hair. And yesterday I had it in a short little afro. And I'm gonna wet this, and tomorrow it'll probably be a little afro. But I like these little hoop earrings, baby. I need these folks. I need our people to know what a black woman is supposed to look like. We are made in the image of our heavenly Father, God Almighty. Why should we be ashamed of what we look like, baby? I am tired of being indoctrinated and conditioned to hate myself. Everything about us is beautiful. Everything. Baby, you better ask somebody. You better ask somebody. Y'all gonna wake up. I can see how we done got erased. We done did all this blending in, diluting the bloodline. Y'all hating yourself, trying to look like somebody else. And then since you don't appreciate your culture and your people, honey, you got other folks coming along. Y'all done seen them little Koreans over there, them Korean videos where they putting perms in their hair to having it look like it's 4C and have it short. You better ask somebody. And y'all better start being nice to one another. Because that's why we having this bad luck. Because we not loving and protecting one another. And instead we being mean and mistreating one another. And you can't be mistreating God's children and expect to get blessed. Now, if they lost, they don't know any better. Baby, just teach them. If they don't want to listen, love them from afar. But I tell you what, I will be going live later today. And I'm going to do a live on Love and Marriage Huntsville. Y'all know that's my show. It's going to always be my show. Even though I believe Carlos King is the enemy, Carlos King is a gatekeeper. He up there doing lives talking about we should be sad that love and hip hop is off. Black folks that lost their job. Well, if they're out here painting negative images of black people, they don't need to have a job. And Carlos King, you supposed to be the king of reality, and you got your own entertainment reign, kingdom reign. Then you make shows that are positive. I mean, some of them people sounded stupid up over there talking about we worried about what white people think. No, we not worried about what white people think. What we want to see is more positive images and stories of our community that outnumber or match the negative images that we see of our community. That's what we're talking about. We know it's some hood and ratchetness going on in our community, but we want to see the good stuff. We want stuff for our children, grandchildren, and others to aspire to, because these folks are seeing all the ratchet and the negative stuff, and they think that is all of us, and that's all we have to offer. Baby, we have more to offer, baby. Okay, now see, y'all done had me go on a tangent. Let me go run some errands, and if I don't go live tonight at 6, let me do it tomorrow. Tomorrow is Thursday. Truth Telling Thursday. Oh, yeah. Truth Telling Thursday. Let me do it tomorrow, because that way, if it's 6 p.m. here in California, it'll be 3 p.m. on the East Coast. And it'll be, 4 p.m. Central Time? Yeah. Truth Telling. Truth Telling Thursday. Yeah. Because I let everybody else give y'all the BS on the other days of the week. On Thursday, ain't nothing but the truth. We going to turn up and tell the truth. That's what we going to call it. But anyway, today is Wednesday. So that's what we'll do. If I do not go live, if I do not go live tomorrow at 3 p.m., then what I want y'all to do, whoever send me a post and say, MsBehaven, you ain't go live, I'm gonna send you a cash app. I promise. I'm gonna send you a cash app. Let's see. I'll send you a cash app. It'll be a $20 cash app. You don't want to do 20. Well, I give 20 out to the homeless people. It'll be a $50 cash app. If I do not go live tomorrow at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and that'll be 5 p.m. Central Standard Time and 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, then the person, no, because it might be more than one person. We're going to go back to 20. If I don't go live, and the limit is up to 100. So if I don't go live tomorrow, if you put a comment down and say, MsBehaven, you lied, you ain't go live, I'm going to send you a cash app. So the limit's up to $5 to $100. And I think I can do that because I've given that as a tip, and I've given that to a homeless person, so I can give it to a supporter. But anyway, have a beautifully blessed day, y'all. Let me go. And let me go on and get dressed and go handle this business. I'm gonna play with this hair a little bit right there, and go out here because the sun is shining. Bye-bye. And don't forget to hit like, y'all, or dislike if you're a hater. And y'all know I showed if you were enemy of God, baby, you were enemy of me. And I'm gonna be on your neck. That's why Marceau not trying to fool with nobody up on Love and Marriage Huntsville. He ain't got time for the dumbness. That's why Marceau was sitting up in that live last year talking about, ain't we tired of hearing about folks' marriages? That's why y'all, Marceau ain't giving y'all nothing. I thought it was because Marceau losing weight. Marceau tired of the foolishness. He tired. He just going through the motion. But we're going to talk about that tomorrow at 3 p.m. Because I owe Marceau an apology. Just like I apologize to the women about talking bad about them. Marceau, I'm sorry about talking about you having them man biddies. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I shouldn't have done that, because men have feelings too. All right, y'all. Goodbye. Now, how I turn this off right up here? Let's see. Okay.